Poor Sister Anna Feodora of the rich queen. The 300 pounds she intended to use should have stretched for at least 6 months. The plans were to order dresses for girls and maybe buy some new furniture, as the old furniture was falling apart right before our eyes. Despite the fact that this money was originally allocated so that Princess Feodora Leiningen could go to England, the poor sister of the rich queen had to make efforts to solve current problems. The little girl was named very originally Anna Feodora, thanks to the connection with her aunt, the Russian Grand Duchess Anna Feodorovna. This woman, once charming, was chosen by Catherine II in her young years as a wife for Grand Duke Constantine. Unfortunately, the grandson of the Russian Empress turned out to be a tough and domineering man, and in 1799 Anna Feodorovna had to leave St. Petersburg and return to her native Coburg. Although at one point she managed to return to Russia, but in 1801 the Grand Duchess finally left the country. She resolutely refused to have any ties with St. Petersburg and Constantine. It was in honor of this woman that on December 7, 1807, a tiny girl was named, who was born in the Bavarian Amorbach. For her parents, Prince and Princess Leiningen, she became the second child. Our Feodora is smart and very sweet. Her mother wrote in a letter to her sister, "She read so much that I'm afraid for her eyesight." In 1814, the family was dressed in mourning. Prince Leiningen passed away. Now the leadership of the principality has passed to the shoulders of Mother Feodora, and she enthusiastically took up this matter. Perhaps she lacked knowledge and experience, but she had more than enough energy. Princess Victoria strictly controlled all aspects, vigilantly monitored the upbringing of children, and even personally compiled their menu. It never occurred to her that drastic changes could happen in her future life path. The situation has developed so that the heir to the throne has died in England. A dense ring of her relatives gathered at the throne, as well as her childless uncles. Some of them had children, but since they were bastards, they had no right to claim the crown according to the laws. The uncles were asked to marry urgently and get heirs. These middle-aged princes went to the continent in search of brides. Edward of Kent proposed to Princess Victoria Leiningen. His arguments were quite deliberate. A young widow with 2 children who had already proved her ability to give birth to heirs. She was the perfect candidate. Princess Victoria agreed, and on May 29, 1818, they were married. Soon after, Victoria Leiningen became pregnant, and so the couple hurried to move to England. Feodora could not keep up with all the changes. First, she had a stepfather, then a new home, Kensington Palace, and then a sister. In May 1819, little Victoria was born. Both girls were called princesses, but Feodora came from a poor German principality, while Victoria could claim the English throne. "My childhood was the happiest in those moments when we traveled," admitted Feodora later. During the trips from castle to castle, from residence to residence, her mother was less in control of her and did not take care of her as intensively. But times changed quickly, and once again there was a change. Edward of Kent died, having fulfilled his duty and departed from this world. Since then, the princess mother has changed. She saw conspiracies and suspected relatives of bad intentions. It seemed to her that the girls were constantly in danger. This led to the fact that Feodora and Victoria were literally isolated from the outside world. The sisters spent a lot of time communicating with each other and with their governess, Baroness Lesen, the kindest and most caring being on earth, Feodora later noted, but perhaps Lesen's character stood out against the background of her relationship with her mother. "We need to get her married," Queen Adelaide, the wife of Sovereign William Ivy, once decided. The wife of one of Victoria's uncles, who did not stay on the throne for a long time, nevertheless had a significant impact on the fate of Feodora. The girl was introduced to the German Prince Ernst of Hohenlohe-Langenburg, and she was married to him. Before the wedding, the couple met only twice, and after the wedding in London, they went to the continent. New changes. The prince did not match her dreams. His old gloomy castle needed restoration, and there was little money. Feodora Leiningen sighed heavily. Sometimes it seemed to her that she had been punished by going so far away from England. But what could she do? Gradually, children appeared, the troubles began to multiply, and she did not even notice how 9 years had passed, and her sister Victoria ascended the throne. The Queen of England did not forget about her sister and actively maintained contact with her, often corresponding. The exchange of letters continued throughout her life, and Feodora repeatedly visited London. Each time she was allocated £300 to cover the costs of travel and other needs. She tried to handle this money carefully in order to be able to take care of her children. Such was the fate of the poor sister of the rich queen. In the TV series Victoria, which tells about the life of the queen, the screenwriters took certain artistic freedoms for themselves, presenting Feodora as an envious and constantly dissatisfied woman. However, the reality was very different. The sisters loved each other and their letters reflected sincere tenderness. In 1872, when Feodora was no more, Victoria wrote the following lines: "There is not a single close and kind person left on whom I could rely. How kind and wise she was! My beloved Feodora was so devoted to me, and her piety was sincere. She was the last link to my childhood and youth." The fate of the poor sister of the rich queen ended in Baden-Baden. In the principality, she was respected for her kindness and charitable deeds. She helped orphans and the needy, and also opened a hospital for those who could not pay for medical care.